What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We're going to be looking at some more Event Dungeon, actually a team that we've showcased before because it still works. It absolutely still works. That's going to be the Speed Farm Wukong team. It is extremely fast, extremely volatile. This comp, just as fast as it gets the boss done, can also fail. I don't believe it's 100% comp because there's so many things that you need to go right in order to make this happen. So let's take a look at a run, and then we'll get into some of the particulars as far as the champions and things of that nature, so that if you want to make it happen, you actually can make it happen for you. So as you can see there, very fast run, 6 seconds, but the slightest thing, the slightest debuff not landing, a single debuff not landing, turns this into a fail. I'll quickly show you the champion presets. We'll go look at the gear, masteries, relics, all of that jazz. Obviously, we don't have a 6-star Wukong. 6-star Wukong is going to be able to get this done a lot easier. But Wukong's just prioritizing his skill 2, Ramon 2 prioritizing skill 3, Gerp Tuck skill 3, Mad Hatter skill 2, and Shoes In skill 2. It's very simple if you have the gear to get it done. So let's go and look at the gear. Let's look at the champions. Let's talk about some of the particular things. So Wukong, you obviously need to have a very strong build, right? Some people using Merciless and Zeal. We actually have him in Lethal and Zeal right now. These are the total stats. You don't have to worry about his speed at all, but we have 9.3k attack. I think you can get away with slightly less attack there. We have 80% crit rate because he is going to be getting increased crit rate from Shoes In. We've got 400 crit damage here, ton of crit damage. As far as his relics, we do have the cat's gaze on him. Try to make sure we're ignoring as much defense as possible. As far as the masteries, down into Helm Smasher, not even full masteries on this guy. We just want to make sure we get this offense tree exactly how we want it here. So this is the bare bones of it. He's got Crushing Rend on. This is a one-time thing. We only need him to attack one time. So we can take, you know, this little bit of ignored defense that we get from there, plus the cat's gaze, plus Helm Smasher. Now, depending on your setup, you might not need to take Helm Smasher, because if Helm Smasher doesn't proc, then you might have some different results. I did see some people electing to take Flawless Execution, but it all depends on, you know, the setup that you go with. This setup clearly works. Next, we're going to look at Gerp Tuck. Gerp Tuck was also a fusion champion. You know, Wukong was free for everyone. Gerp Tuck is in 9 pieces of Feral. Your primary debuffer you want in here, guy's going to be bringing you a lot of debuffs. You absolutely want them in 9 pieces of Feral so that you can maximize your damage, get that damage boost from each debuff placed. He is 304 speed, 560 accuracy. We want to make sure that we are taking a turn before we start to get cut in on, because like I said in the other guide that I did, messing around with Tetsuya is annoying. This guy is going to boost turn meter the moment you start to take a turn. Whenever an enemy champion takes a turn, this guy gains 15% turn meter. So you have to make sure that you are going fast enough, guys. So next on the list, we're gonna look at Mad Hatter, also in 9 pieces of Feral. Like I said before, we're trying to get that damage boost. He is 310 speed, 549 accuracy. These are the only stats that matter here. And I know I didn't show the Gerp Tuck masteries and what's not, so I got a bad habit of doing that. Hand to Uncreation, just giving a little bit of accuracy. It doesn't matter. And these are the masteries that we actually have for him. He doesn't have Eagle Eye. He has Oppressor on. This is for means of, you know, Trundaing in Hydra. So nothing special going on with his masteries or anything. The most important thing for these debuffers is the 9-piece Feral set. And as we swap back over to Mad Hatter, you'll see, you know, not much special going on, right? This doesn't help Wukong in any way here, okay? He has Brimstone Blessing on. That could potentially help us if Wukong doesn't one-shot the boss. We land Brimstone on the boss. Potentially that does help us. These are the masteries that he has on him at the moment. These are, you know, some just regular Hydra masteries. It's nothing special going on here. We just want him to be able to land these debuffs. We need that weaken. That weaken is going to help us so we can do some more damage. And like I said before, 310 speed, 549 on the accuracy. Next up, we got Shuzin. Shuzin is in 9 pieces of protection. Why is she in 9 pieces of protection? Because we want to make sure that we get that damage boost from the 9-piece protection set. She is going to be placing 3 buffs. So that's going to give us a 15% damage boost there. Plus all the debuffs we're getting with the Pharaoh sets. We're getting at least 5 debuffs times 5. That's an extra 25% damage there. So she's in 9 pieces of protection. Okay, 303 speed. Want to make sure that she goes after we get our debuffs up, after we get our block passives up, and you know, she doesn't really need any AC or resist or anything like that for what she is doing in here. These are the masteries on her, but none of this actually matters, guys. It doesn't even matter for what we're trying to do. The Wukong build is the most important build. Now the sets, obviously, for these other champs, very important. We've also got Ramontu and 9 pieces of Pharaoh, so that's another 5% on top of that 25 we were getting from the other 5 debuffs that are being placed by Mad Hatter and by Gerptuck. So we want to make sure that all of the debuffers are in 9 pieces of Pharaoh to give yourself the best chance. Now if you do have a 6-star crushing rend on your Wukong, you could get away with not having Feral on everyone, right? So Ramontu is obviously going first for us. He's the fastest champ. He's 315, 598 speed. We want to make sure we get that block passive skills out early so that Tetsuya is not, you know, cutting in. He's gonna fear you. He's gonna do some damage. It's gonna be very, very annoying. So that is pretty much how the comp runs. Now, substitutions for these champs, right? What is Gerptuck doing for us? He's providing us with a bit of damage boost, right? With the Pharaoh set. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's pretty much providing us with a huge damage boost. But you could bring in somebody like a Calvalax. If you have a Calvalax, put that Calvalax in 9 pieces of Pharaoh. He's going to place 4 debuffs at the start. Quick 20% damage boost. So Calvalax is a solid option for you to bring in there. Now, let's say you don't have Mad Hatter, which, I mean, a lot of people probably will have him. The guy is great. He's a great champion. He was accessible. Now you got to pull him, obviously, but he was an accessible champion for sure. If you don't have anyone to, you know, you don't have him, I think there's another guy, Kara. Yes, this guy, Santa Claus, the other Santa Claus guy. He also places Hex and Weaken. So you could bring in him to place Hex and Weaken for you, but the Hex is semi-important as well. Kind of helps you out with the splash damage. If you do have a 6-star blessing on your Wukong, like I said before, you could probably get away with not having a debuff or 2 here or there and still be able to pull this off. But we have a 4-star crushing wind blessing on this Wukong. Obviously, if you have a 6-star, you're going to be able to ignore a lot more defense, and you can get away with having a little less of that damage boost that we are taking advantage of. So that's going to be all for this one though, guys. Like I said before, this is not a 100% comp. It's just a fun comp. If you don't care about energy, you know, money's not an object, yeah, you can obviously run this, but let's see if I could get you a fail in here. Like, there's so many, like, if we don't land all of the debuffs that we need to on everyone, it's just, it falls apart pretty quickly. Well, there's another pass. I feel like, you know, the chance for this to fail is greater than 3%. So maybe we get a fail pretty quickly up back-to-back wins. Because if we don't land, here we go. He weak hit, Mad Hatter weak hit on Kyoku. And yeah, but Brimstone killed the boss. Like I said, Brimstone could come in handy there. So when Mad Hatter weak hits on Kyoku, that's when you're going to have some issues and where the run is going to fall apart. So that is something that you want to be mindful of. And like I said, if you have like Caroline the Ringer, or maybe you bring someone else in who can place weaken for you, right? Like Lydia places decreased defense and weaken. You put her in Brimstone 9-piece Pharaoh set. She probably could come in here and do the same thing that Mad Hatter is doing. You won't get the splash damage from the Hex, so might be better to just bring someone with Hex, because you kind of, you know, need that splash damage as well. It just helps out a ton, but not failing. All right, there it is. And then Brimstone, and then what's it gonna be? Boss gonna take a turn. Wukong's back, Brimstone back, and there's your fail, guys. So like I said before, not a 100% comp, right? So you need things to go a very particular way for this to happen. It's just something fun to showcase. But thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave me a like, leave me a comment down below. You can say whatever you want, just don't not say nothing. And until next time, guys, be good and be well.